everybody, welcome back to the channel. Now what we have here is a beautifully large piece of elm. It's 13.5 inches across and about 4.5–5 inches deep. And it's with this piece I hope to start off my New Year's resolution, which is to start using some of the toys and tools I've bought over the last year and haven't had a chance yet. So hopefully this piece is going to give us a chance. If it doesn't, then I have another piece coming which will definitely work, but more about that later on. The first problem is to get this on the lathe. Now it is quite big and I would love to give this a natural edge. We are going to try and make a bowl, by the way. So the first thing to do is get the center, maybe clear a bit of the bark away, create a flat spot, and then either go in with a force and a bit to create a recess or put a hole in there for a worm screw. So first of all, let's find the center. Okay, so we've drilled for a worm screw, we've got a nice clearance around here for the chuck, so we can now get it on the lathe. Okay, nice and safely on the lathe. Now I would like to try and keep the bark on this if I can, but as I can see from the edges there that it is starting to lift a little bit, so we'll play that by ear. We also have some cracking as well, but hopefully as we turn up the sides we can get past that. Now it's pretty well balanced. We can start turning at about 700 RPM. I'll be starting off with a 1/2 inch ball gouge and my high impact shield will be on. Okay, that was a pretty good start. I'm fairly confident that I can pick up the speed a little bit more now, probably get up to about 850, maybe even 900 RPM. These cracks that are on the edge only go in about an inch or so, so looks like we are going to be able to turn away the majority of them, which is good. Beautiful grain appearing. No particular fantastic figure yet, but hopefully around this knot area we've got here we may find something as we go through. Right, so I'm going to keep on going, taking this curve up towards the top and then start bringing it in towards the center. I need quite a wide recess on this because of what we're hopefully going to be doing with this in a little while. Okay, still going well. Now we want to try and keep hold of this bark as I mentioned, so I'm just going to move the tool rest round and start taking down this top area. Oops. And start taking down this top, but from this direction. If you're working this way with the tool, there's always a chance of levering that bark off, so let's try a few cuts coming down this way to get this round and see if we can get this bark to play ball. Nothing came flying off that I heard. Well, that's pretty good, we've got it. Still a fraction further to go up on that side, but that's about it. All the bark seems to be intact on the top, which is wonderful. Right, Now I want to try and keep an even curve on this. At the moment we've got like a bit of a dog leg going on, and I want a nice smooth curve for this for the reason that we're doing later on. So I'm just going to quickly start working on that, and I'll start creating a foot as well. It's a much better curve, far more even than we had before. I was just using pull cuts to help create that shape. A pull cut is where, as opposed to using the leading edge of the flute going across it, you're virtually turned it over, so you're cutting it with that bottom edge and just pulling it across the surface and literally scraping away the wood. It's a nice and easy way to quickly create a shape. One thing it doesn't do is leave a very good finish. As you can see, we've got an awful lot of tear out there. So we will be refining that in a little while. I just want to take this foot a little bit smaller. We're going to be using the 100mm jaws for this, and it will be about a 5mm recess to help keep us safe when we're doing what we want to do, or what we think we're going to do on the other side. Okay, that's looking pretty good. I'm just going to take away the tailstock so we can create the recess, and also kind of do one more push cut up the side here just to try and reduce some of this tear out. Okay, that recess looks absolutely fine. We do have some interesting wood going on there, but there's plenty of wood around it, good solid wood for us to be able to chuck safely into. Right, I'm going to set up for sanding. I'll let you watch a bit of it, and I'll bring you back when we're done. Okay, sanding went beautifully. It's always fun sanding these higher areas on the tops, but we got there eventually. I filled those cracks on the sides, the small ones we had left, with a bit of sawdust and wood glue. I've just totally ignored that one. That's all part of the wood itself. If it's too bad on the inside, then we'll do something with it, but I quite like it as it is. So I'm just going to go over with a bit of isopropyl alcohol. This helps get any loose dust out of the grain. It also gives us a first chance to see how this will look with a finish. And it's not bad at all. Nice bit of chatoyance around that area there, which I really like. Okay, right, we'll let this dry, and I'll come back with a shellac sealer. Okay, that's had plenty of time to dry, so we're going to go on with a shellac sealer, putting it on with a brush again, just to help me get into all the little areas up around the rim. Now, this may take a couple of coats, especially around the bark area. But I'll put on one now, and then put on a second off camera and bring you back after. I haven't sanded any of the bark yet. We'll leave that until we've done what we need to do to the other side. I know I haven't told you yet what we're doing, but I've got to keep a secret somehow. Although some of you, I'm sure, will have already guessed. If you have, quickly stop the video and put your guess in the comments below. Okay, right, I'll let this first coat dry. Come back, put a second one on. And then I'll bring you back and we'll go on with an abrasive paste. Okay, that's all nice and dry. So we're going to go on with the Northern Grit abrasive paste. Applying it in circular motions. Now, because this isn't a completely round, even bowl, I'm going to buff half of this by hand with the lathe spinning, and the rest with it locked off with a buffing pad on a drill. You want to make sure that you wear eye protection with this. That has really helped find up that surface ready for the final coat. We'll just wipe off the excess with the isopropyl alcohol. Before I do that, I'm just going to quickly blow out, well, it's just tissue. I'll just quickly blow out any excess that we've got in there. Just let that evaporate, then come back on with the final finish. Okay, again, that's all nice and dry. So we'll go on with my current favourite finish, which is Howard Feed and Wax. Now, a few people have constantly reminded me the last few times I've used this that it's not Howard's Feed and Wax, it's just Howard Feed and Wax. So I apologise to those people I've obviously annoyed. I will endeavour to not mispronounce it again. Wrong again. Really such a wonderful, useful finish. So easy to apply. Smells amazing. And it gives the wood such a beautiful lustre. Right, we'll leave this 20 minutes or so to sit on the wood. And then come back, I'll buff it off, we'll turn it round, and then let the fun begin. Okay, we've turned it around. We've got tailstocks for support. It's all looking good. And now for the tricky bit. What we're intending to do is to take a core out of this to leave us a piece, hopefully we can make a second bowl from. Now, there are various systems on the market that you can use, but all the main ones on the market are on a very big, large central jig, which only take a predefined shape. Now, in order to have used that type of jig, this needed to be an awful lot thicker, generally as thick or half as thick as it is wide. And we're not quite there yet. So the system that I went for and purchased some time ago is this one. This is the McNaughton M8 Center Saver. Now this is different in the fact that it comes with various shaped blades that you can kind of guide into the piece and take different profile cuts from. Now I have watched a video on how this works and I feel slightly confident that I might be able to do it. So just give me a couple of seconds, I'm going to try and get this set up and then we'll talk about how we're going to make a start. Okay, I think I know what I'm doing. Now I'm going to, first of all, take out a smaller core from this, just to test and see how well I can do it. So the first core is going to be around there. The second core, from what I can gather, is going to start around there. Now the blade is 3/8 inch thick, so that is where the starting points are going to be. Now the smaller blade I've got here fits into this jig, goes underneath this hoop, between those two slots. You line it up with the entry point. This top bar here stops it kicking down, and as that piece is rotating you push it in and follow the curve of this shape with the tool rounded inside the piece, so it'll go down and round to there. I really hope it does. That's the way it works anyway. Right, so I'm going to get my final position for this, lock it off, and then live on air, without any rehearsal, we'll give it a go. Okay, right, I'm not quite confident. I'm going to go and watch the video again. Okay, push back through the video. Got a better idea what I'm doing now. It's still not a fantastic idea, but a better idea. So we're going to start off with a straight tool on these 2 points to cut us a notch inside about 1/2 inch. That'll help us get us started. And then I'll choose the correct size curve to take us through to the center. The same curve should theoretically be able to do them both. Now, this kit I've got here, I don't think it's ideally designed for this small amount of turning, but we'll give it a go anyway. It's going to be a good practice doing it on this center before I do the important outside cut. Right, face shield back on. Okay, that was good. Right, I'll just change the blade over and we'll take out this first core. Yay! Our first ever core. Awesome. I'm not sure we can turn that into a bowl, but we'll certainly give it a go. Before I dare take the next one, I'm just going to have a quick look to see how much wood we've got to take this next core. It's about nearly 2 inches, 1 3/4 inches. So I think we're going to have to go very carefully on this next one. It's all very scary, isn't it? Now, if I follow the angle of this blade in, theoretically we should be all right. This is the third blade I've got. It's slightly shallower. Which one shall I use? Now, after I've used this a dozen times, I won't need to guess anymore. I'll be all fine with it. But at the moment, I've just got to try and use my best guess. Yeah, I think that's going to be too deep. I'm going to use the shallower one, just to be on the safe side. I'd much prefer not to have a core to turn into another bowl than I would this larger bowl to keep and use. If I feel like I've messed up as I'm going along, I will stop and we'll just finish it off the normal way. Okay, I'm not giving up yet. I just need to, I think, clear a little bit of this material out of here, just to give me a better access, because as you can hear, it's starting to bind. Hopefully that will give me more clearance. The question is, are we having fun yet? Yes, we are. Okay, looking at this angle of attack, I think I'm going to come in very, very close to that, but I want the experience more than I want the bowl inside. Now to sharpen these, you can just draw up the side of the blade with a diamond grinder, a diamond sharpener. Out of curiosity and just purely for practice sake, I'm just going to swap over to the other shape on the one I used for the first hollowing. Please do not take this video as a tutorial on how to use the McNaughton system. I assure you, this is not how it's done. Well, this is how you use it for the very first time. Let's put it that way. Right, I know this sounds awful, but I'm determined to get this through. what that sound means? I've broken it or we've caught it. Well, that's really quite thin on the bottom, but I reckon I can get a bowl out of that. Oh, thank goodness for that. Thank goodness. Right, this can go for a second. My Norton system can sit over here for a while, and we'll give it another go, but not until the trauma has worn off. Right. Well, the good news is we haven't gone through the bottom. The bad news is we've got about ½ an inch away. So we just sort out this rim, take it a little bit thinner, but not go anywhere near here until the very end. I'm just going to sharpen up my ½ inch bowl gouge and we'll finish off hollowing this out. Can I just say that it feels absolutely amazing to be turning again and not coring. I'm not sure that's for me, but we will try it again, I promise. I just need to get these walls a little bit thinner because we now have a thin base, and I'd like to try and keep an even wall thickness all the way through. Okay, time to try out a second new purchase. This is a curved tool rest, which will help keep the tip of my tool closer to the bowl as it's cutting. I bought this at the Harrogate show in November. The more tool that's overhanging this tool rest as you're cutting a surface, there's more chance you have of vibration. So having a curved tool rest can help keep that tip nice and close to hopefully give a better cut. Right, I'm going to move on to a 45-degree short grind bowl gouge now, which will help me get into a tighter curve there. It's known as a bottom feeder, and it should help us get a far better surface than I'm currently doing. It'd really help if it was sharp though. Okay, we've done pretty well. We have done pretty well. Right, there's a couple of little tool marks and only an even surface there. So I'll just quickly sort those. And then we can sand. Ah, what a piece. Right, I think that will about do it. Right, I'm going to set up for sanding. I'll let you watch a bit of it. I shall bring you back when we're done. Okay, sanding's all done. Now back on with a bit of isopropyl just to help clean out the grooves. I really do love elm. Such a beautiful wood. I think this is heading towards being my favourite bowl I've ever made. Certainly the natural edge variety. Right, we'll let this dry and then we'll come back with the shellac. That's all nice and dry, so we'll go on with a couple of coats of shellac like we did on the other side. Give the bark a good covering as well. Okay, right, I'll let this coat dry. And I'll come back on with another one, and when that's dry, I'll bring it back and we'll go on with an abrasive paste. Okay, that's all nice and dry, so we can go back on with Northern Grit abrasive paste. Same as before. We'll do it with the lathe spinning for the majority of the centre, but then lock it off so we can get the higher points on the wings mechanically. My protection as usual. Okay, that's looking absolutely amazing. So I'll quickly go on with a bit of isopropyl alcohol just to remove any excess grit, and then we can finish it off with a Howard feed and wax. Just give that a couple of seconds to dry. Okay, all nice and dry, so back on with a nice helping of the Howard feed and wax. I can let it just sit for 20 minutes. Right, I need to do a good tidy up of the workshop, and then I'll take this off, buff it up, and we'll take a look at what we've done. Well, there we go. A live edge elm bowl. This, by the way, was one of those few pieces donated by Wayne a few months ago. I really must say a massive thanks to the quality of wood that he managed to send over for us to have a look at. In the end, it's turned out quite big. It's still 13 inches wide by just over 4 inches deep. And I couldn't be happy with the way it turned out. The grain really is quite amazing. Like all elm, it just has such a unique look to it. I'm so pleased we managed to keep all the bark on as well. It really helps add a certain something to this piece. And don't forget, we still have the cores we took from the inside. I know that process, well, especially for me, was a little traumatic, but we got through it. We've learnt an awful lot, and the pain is starting to diminish, so I'm actually looking forward to trying it again. I do have a nice big piece of cherry coming, which I will try it on. Anyway, that's it for now. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, I would really appreciate a like and subscribe and all the usual things. And if you could share it as well, then that would be absolutely amazing. Also, don't forget that if you do leave a comment, you are going to be entered into the giveaway the next time we do one. Apart from that, thank you very much indeed for watching. Thank you so much, Wayne, for sending us this amazing wood. And I'll see you all next time. Thank you.